I know for a fact that this is going to be a painful challenge for me. I got marks like this and like this.
故您要谨慎处理。
顾宁要 because it's been a few weeks already. It's not working out as magically as I hoped. 不会哦。Wrong. Clothes. After fumbling and trying new methods, I finally come across this lesson plan that I've created for myself. Wow. 开门的开。
You put in your center, definitely.
它会有一个声音。
OK， 那我是应该要听什么？
慢慢摇 ，OK。
然后呢，明年我会第一次报考高水准华文。I thought I want to share some of the changes I've made to my study routine since my last update to you.
这个送给你。
Major accomplishment, 75 out of 100. I'm walking through the gates of the Maristella High School. I hope I'll do you all proud. Okay, see you in a bit. So, if you're watching this video, it's likely that you want to start your own Mandarin learning journey and you're trying to find some tips. I get it because that's how I started. I'm making this video simply because with the experience I now have from learning in my own way, I feel like I can now contribute to that. So I hope that will be helpful to you. I have some mistakes, I have some surprises, and I have 3 recommendations at the end of this that I'd like to share. First up is mistakes. And the first one really is learning but without context. So the first thing that I really did was to just, okay, how can I learn as fast as possible? Maybe I should treat it like exercise. So do it regularly, do it consistently. And then that kind of really didn't work. And the reason for that, as I found out later, specifically through learning from my Chinese teacher, was that you can't just learn without context.
所以词、字、词、句，就是你句子去靠句子去学。
So for me, one of the things I've done was to try and memorize 500 words. And I kept trying and I kept feeling like I'm not good enough. That the words I've tried to memorize were not being kept in my head because I wasn't learning it in context. And without context, you won't get the consistency you seek. So that's definitely a mistake I hope you won't make. The second mistake, which to be honest, I guess your mileage may vary, is before you buy anything and spend money, you really want to think about your own learning habits. Not just in the short term, but how it might potentially adapt. And that's not all that I'll be using in my learning journey. And for me, I've been very fortunate in finding a lot of free tools online, as well as just around me, that I've never really had to pay for the things that I use. I did ultimately choose to pay for one thing, and that is the Do Chinese app. Do Chinese. And I love Do Chinese because I'm able to immerse myself in the Chinese language in a very meaningful way. And at the start, I loved it so much that I decided to pay for it even though that is expensive. What I didn't account for was how my learning habits would change over time. And so I realized that despite the fact that I used the app early on, I've not used the app since. But Do Chinese is, to be honest, the only thing I ever bought throughout my 2 years of studying. Learning language can be surprisingly affordable if you allow yourself to find new methods of learning. So do think about that. And finally, I think the third one. What was my third one? Aha! So third one was, to be honest, the crux of this entire journey that I'm on. Especially at the very beginning, is to avoid things that sucks the joy out of it. That was a mistake I made at the very start as well. I was thinking about it from an effectiveness and efficiency perspective. And to be honest, I think really ignoring the soul and the core of what learning could be. And if it is not fun, I don't think that you will want to do it in the long run. And so I lean towards conversing with other people, particularly with strangers, because that is something that was the most fun to me. And so find the things that you find fun in doing so that you can use that to gain consistency in that learning journey, and I think that will really help. Now, before I go to my 3 recommendations, I kind of want to really touch on 2 surprises that I have along my 2-year journey. The first one is on reading. Now, I bring this up because this may contradict a little bit with the point I just had, which is reading, especially to someone that's new in language, it is not fun. But I can tell you what was most surprising to me is that in a language learning journey that's full of peaks and valleys, where sometimes you don't have time to study, every time when I come back, I'm genuinely surprised at how much information I've retained that I can specifically attribute to reading itself. I do not know how to explain it to you yet, but know that when you find a way to integrate reading into your learning journey, it is going to surprise you at just how much you can retain of that language. And even if, let's say, you don't want to focus on reading stories because you have a short attention span and so on, fair. Find other ways. Change your phone to Chinese. Shop online in Chinese. I'm sure that there will be a way for you to use reading for Chinese in a way that is most natural to your life. The other thing is just on how everyone is a teacher. Perhaps what's surprising for me about that is that these people don't consider themselves as teachers. They are my family, they are my friends, they are people that I met along the way that were once strangers. And that was what's surprising to me, because I've always thought that when it comes to learning a language, yes, you're going to interact with people, but you are going to have a lot of lonely times. But what I realized is that for most of the time, it is actually learning amongst people. And that has been most surprising because I've never thought that you can just find teachers all around you. So on that note, I think the first recommendation is that you never want to learn Mandarin in isolation. Learn it with people. Because ultimately, that is what language is all about. Humans learn languages so that they can connect, so that they can understand different perspectives, so that they can hear other people's stories. To help you with that, my second recommendation, which is the first thing you should do if you're going to learn Mandarin, download Pleco, which is kind of like the Chinese dictionary within a phone. It's very powerful and I use it in order to increase my vocabulary usage. Pleco helps so much because they are effectively like training wheels on a bicycle. And I was so fortunate that it was a stranger on TikTok that recommended me the app during the first month of my own learning journey, that it helps you rid yourself of the fear of falling. And finally, on this entire trend of recommendations, be courageous. Know that you have a lot more potential than you give yourself credit for. Embrace challenges that you feel slightly unprepared for, where these are newfound experiences. I've never done this before. And stereotypically, you would think that you would want to prepare a lot in order to meet the challenge at hand. But I personally couldn't prepare as much as I would like to. And yet, because of how I've structured the series, I had to take on those challenges. And guess what? Not only did I survive, I think I thrived. And imagine if, because of that insecurity, I have said no. I think I would have robbed myself of an opportunity to gain momentum. Because when you say yes to opportunities, even if you fall and fail, it's not going to be fatal. So take courage in that, and I think the society around you would respond in kind. So yeah, I hope that all of these kind of sharings have helped you in your own journey. I hope that if you want to find more tips and all that, I have documented the entire journey that I've been on in this entire series, so you can just go back and watch some specific chapters so that it might help you along the way. And yeah, I wish you all the best in what you're about to experience. Bye!